Hello everyone, welcome to the Web Development Interview Preparation Bootcamp. So I hope you all are doing great. Okay, so if you guys have seen my previous live sessions, I've done a previous live session for on bootcamp. Okay, if you guys have joined. So in the same pattern, okay, so this is also going to be a 2 day bootcamp where I'll be discussing about how you can prepare for web development. I will be discussing about the importance of portfolio, what type of technical interview questions are asked if you are someone who is planning to build a career into web development. Okay, how you can prepare. So I will be discussing everything. Okay, so today we have one session. Okay, and tomorrow there will also be a session. So tomorrow will be day 2. Okay, I will be sharing all the material, everything that I will be covering in this session. Okay, so let's start. I'll just share my screen. All right. Okay, so before we start, okay, if you guys have any question, okay, feel free to put it in chat box. Okay, if you guys have any doubt, anything that comes to your mind when it's come to web development, when it's come to interview preparation, anything in terms of topic. Okay, if you want me to do a live session on some specific topic of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js, MongoDB, Express, Node, DSA, anything. Okay, feel free to put that in chat box. Okay, I can whatever topic, if you want a specific topic, I can do a live session on that as well. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible to all. All right. So today, so this workshop is divided into two parts. Okay, so day one we will be discussing two things. Firstly, okay, one part would be the placement. Okay, like when a company will come into your colleges. Okay, so there are two type of placements over here. Okay, one thing is that you will be finding jobs from your end. Okay, that is one thing. Second part is your college placements will happen. Okay, so there are 2 points here. Okay, if you are someone who is finding job from their end, I will guide you in that perspective as well. Okay, if you are someone who is going to sit in campus placements, okay, I'm going to guide you in that process as well. Okay, so I will be talking about both the process. Maybe you're someone who have learned web development from their end, or maybe from some brand or from some company. Okay, and now you are looking for guidance and you're looking for preparation. Okay, so in this way this boot camp will help you. Second is, if you are someone who is in college and is going to sit in college placements, okay, campus placements, I will be discussing both the parts. Okay, I'll just remove that. All right. Okay, so what is the general campus placement process, or how to like if you're someone who is not in college anymore, someone who have prepared for web development from there, and I'll be guiding in that perspective. Secondly is technical interview questions. Okay, I'll be discussing what type of questions, what categories of questions are asked in interviews. Okay, third thing is a small practice session, okay, where I will discuss about general questions, okay, and most important thing is DSA. Okay, so I'll be putting light on that part as well, like in web development, how much DSA at least you should know. Okay, so and what type of questions you can practice. Again, I'll discuss about that. Now, let's start with the campus placement process. Okay, how that process goes. Okay, first of all, okay, you will have something called pre-placement activities. Okay, pre-placement activity basically has two things. Firstly, your resume creation, and one is your interview preparation. Okay, now how to prepare for interviews, I'll be discussing that in the next slide. Okay, how you can prepare for the interviews and how to create resume. Okay, how to create resume, I will be discussing that in tomorrow's session. Okay. In fact, in tomorrow's session, I'll be showing you some sample resume as well. Okay. Let's say if you're someone who is a fresher and want to know how a fresher resume should look like, I'll be discussing that in tomorrow's session. An interview question just after this slide, I'll be discussing. Okay. So whenever you are, let's say you are in third year or fourth year, and your companies are about to come in your campus, so these two things has to be in place. One is your preparation and one is your resume. Okay. Resume I'll be discussing tomorrow. Interview question just after this I'll be discussing. Okay. Next process is, once a company comes, your shortlisting will be done. Okay, shortlisting is obviously when you're in college, shortlisting is done based on your marks. Okay, let's say your CGPA. Some companies prefer 9 CGPA and above, some companies prefer 8 CGPA and above. Okay, so based on that the shortlisting will be done. Okay, second part would be, once your profile is shortlisted, okay, in that same process, second thing is your resume. Okay, your resume is your profile. Your resume is going to speak for you. Okay, so that is also important, especially when you are into web development. Okay, it's great if you can create a portfolio website. I'll be discussing about this again in the later part today. But if you can create a portfolio website, that's the best thing you can do. Okay, so here your resume or portfolio website, whatever you have, and your uh, like mark CGPA is important here. Okay, based on that generally your profile is shortlisted. Okay, after that, now in company placements, it depends from company to company. What I am explaining is it's very general. Okay, it's going to change based on the requirement. Okay, but I am discussing all the aspects. Okay, so generally you have some assessment test, which is nothing but your coding analysis round. Okay, where they will give you some coding questions, like generally three coding questions are there, and you have to crack any two. Okay, using lead code or hacker rank or hacker or any platform, or generally like companies like TCS, they have their own platforms. Okay, so they will have this assessment test. Okay, yeah, so generally in this out of three you have to do minimum two questions. Okay, after that, once you crack this round, okay, now next comes your group discussion round. Some companies have this group discussion round, and some company does not have group discussion rounds. Okay, so group discussion round is not something which is going to be there in every company. Okay, so group discussion round is something which is optional. Okay, some companies have group discussion and some companies doesn't have. Okay, so generally when someone is hiring for technical plus they just want like a consultant, both the roles. Okay, generally you have, like, when your communication is extremely important, or your team player, they really want to check all these skills. Okay, that time, but it's optional. Okay, very less, like as compare if I compare, less companies have this, but this type of round is can also be there. Okay, after that comes your interview round. Okay, now interviews, generally you have two technical interviews. Okay, one technical interview is basically about your basic, and one technical interview about your advanced part. Okay, this is how they generally divide. So generally you have, some companies take only one technical interview, or some companies will take two, maximum two, minimum one will you will have. Okay, of course, if you're sitting in companies like top five big companies like Google, Amazon, then you can have three technical interviews as well. Okay, so it depends. But if I talk about startup and mid level, minimum, like maximum two technical interviews you have. Okay, and then once you crack the interview, okay, then you will have your offer letter and join. Okay, so this is the complete general process that we have for the placement. Okay, like you should be ready with your portfolio, your resume. Then you should be prepared with your interviews. Okay, whatever tech stack you are, let's say you are in Java, if you are in Python, you are in web development, whichever you are tech stack you are into. Okay, then your profile will be shortlisted majorly in campus. You have two criteria: your portfolio or resume, or and your CGPA. Okay, then you will have coding round, assessment test. It could be aptitude, it could be coding round. Okay, group discussion is optional, or otherwise after this you will have your direct technical interviews. One or two interviews will happen, and then you will get your offer. Okay, now in this complete process, okay, the main point which is important is your positive attitude. Okay, I myself have gone through this journey of campus placement. So I got my placement 1 year before my graduation. Okay, and at that time, a lot of people are getting placement around you. Okay, so it could be sometimes demotivating as well. Okay, why am I able to speak about that part is because I myself was the last in my group who got placed. But I think that journey has helped me in terms of preparing others well now. Okay, because since I've seen that failure of not cracking an interview, to now preparing candidates for cracking the interview. Okay, so that is the reason I can help you in terms of, or guide you, that during this complete process positive attitude is the most important thing. Okay, because sometimes especially when you have people peers around you getting placed before you. Sometimes people get like this complete process happens in like 15 days for some candidates. For some candidates, it takes 4 months. For some candidate, it takes like 1 week to get job. Okay, so it depends on person to person, but you just need to focus on your journey. Okay, you really don't have to see others and all that, and just be very positive and keep preparing. Okay, because and let's say if you sit in a company interview, right, and if you're not able to crack, okay, but at least you're able to get the questions from that person. Okay, at least you're getting an experience before getting placed. Okay, so it just consider everything like an experience. Okay, positive attitude is important, and that is how you can easily crack the interview. Okay, so this is how generally campus placement process goes like. Okay. Now, second point is if you're someone who is not in college anymore, someone who have prepared for web development from some company maybe, and now want to get placed. Okay, so of course it has a lot of aspect. For example, you have to find like in this campus placement company, your college will find companies for you. You don't have to find the companies, right? But if you're someone who is want to get job offer in or kickstart their career into IT, you have maybe you're someone who is done with the graduation now want to look for the jobs. Okay, so that process is a bit different. Okay, there there, because you have to find the companies, potential companies. You have to find the correct maybe according to city, whatever is the market, job market you're looking for, everything you have to do in terms of research part and everything. Okay, uh, so in that case, what you can do is I'll just talk about that as well. Okay, so first of all, let's say you're someone who have done no web development. Okay, maybe front end, back end, anything. And now, okay, for you, for those candidates, what will be important? Of course, firstly, your resume has to be there. Okay, pre-placement activity, same, or portfolio website. Okay, of course, if you're into web development, you should have a portfolio website. This is extremely important. Okay, after that, once you have these things in place, interview prep. So interview prep would be same for all. Okay, of course, for someone who is into lateral batch, like someone who is already experienced, their preparation is different. But I'm talking about freshers perspective right now. Okay, so I'm only talking about freshers perspective right now. Okay, so interview preparation would be there. Then your LinkedIn has to be optimized. Okay, you should know how to search for companies. Okay, potential companies. So a lot, like, just not the preparation, but this point will also get added if you're someone who is finding job on their own. Okay, but of course when you are into company placement, then you don't have to do that part. That the colleges would be doing that for you. Okay, but yes, if you're someone preparing on their own, rest of the things is common with them. Okay, but this one point gets added, that is how to search for potential companies. Okay, that is something that will require guidance. Okay, in that part, of course, you need someone who will guide you in the best way possible. What platform would be the best, what portal would be the best for you. Okay, that guidance is needed in that part. Okay, but generally, these are the two scenarios you have. Okay, if you guys have any question, okay, feel free to add it in the chat box. Okay, and even after this live, okay, maybe you maybe you are someone who will see this live session after, maybe after it has been streamed. Okay, feel free to put questions even after that in the chat box. I will be happy to help. Okay, so I see all the messages I get, okay, on Instagram and on any live session that I'm taking. You can feel free to put any message down. Okay, I will just reply on that. Okay. The next point we have here is creating a professional portfolio. Okay, so this is where your website will help you, like your portfolio website I was talking about, that has to be there. Okay. Now again, I have divided into three parts. Okay. One is your projects. Okay. In your professional portfolio, even in your resume, even in your, if you are creating any portfolio website, projects plays an important role. Okay, I'm again talking only in terms of web development preparation. Okay, so your firstly your portfolio website has to be there. Okay, that is the first thing you should have, that is your portfolio website. Okay, second thing, any website. Okay, you can pick any problem statement, you can pick any domain, like you can pick healthcare, you can pick e-commerce, you can pick manufacturing, fitness, any one problem statement. and you should create one capstone project, okay, around it. Okay, you can build one capstone project around it. Okay, so minimum these two things, like even projects, at least minimum three. If you want to, again, get placed into web development job, front end, back end, at least three projects has to be there in your resume. Okay, for example, I'll give an example here. Okay, for example, you are into Mern stack, okay, or you are into mean stack, let's say. Okay, so you should have one project of front end in your resume. Okay, one project should be of backend in your resume. Okay, and one project should be a full stack. So this is how you can divide. Okay, of course, when you are learning, you create a lot of mini projects, but when I'm talking about projects here, these are solid capstone projects. Okay, so at least three projects has to be there if you are into merge stack or mini stack. Okay, full stack. If you are only into front end, then add at least two main front end projects. Okay, if you are only into front end development. Okay, and if you're someone who is only into backend, of course, two main backend projects has to be there. Okay, if you're only into backend, then two main projects has to be there in your portfolio. If you're only into front end, then two main front end projects has to be in your resume. And if you're into full stack, okay, then add three projects. Okay, one front end, one backend, and one full stack. So this has to be there. Okay, so this is how project will help you. Okay, so that has to be there in your resume. Okay, second thing that should be there is your website builder applications are there. Okay, website building, so it depends. Okay, so I would not recommend much to the candidates, like though we have the job opportunities into WordPress developer, we have those opportunities as well. Of course, you can go ahead, look for it. But if you talk about more packages and all that, I think you should know the tech stack from scratch. Okay, so HTML, CSS, JS, any advanced UI technology like React, Angular, okay, Vue, any whichever you like, Next.js, minimum this you should know, okay, at least in front end. Okay, now and of course Redux. Okay. So now when you have to build any website, okay, even if you're building your website with WordPress or Wix, let's suppose you're building, okay, let's say if you are a freelancer, right? If you want to, you want to go into freelancing, okay, then of course you can go with WordPress. You can learn WordPress development, you can learn Wix development, application development, okay. But even if you're doing this, this has to be your main core knowledge, okay. Anyways, you can't work with the WordPress without JavaScript knowledge, like. But when you're sitting in an interview, they are going to grill you, they are going to ask you in depth about the questions. So let's say you build your portfolio website with WordPress, you can, no problem, you can. But at least you should have at least two projects built with core technologies, not with any platform. Okay, so you can actually do this. You can have one website, portfolio website built with WordPress, and two websites, projects built with these core technologies. You can do that part. Okay, you can actually divide it like that. Okay, so this is what you can do here. And last and important part is deployment. Okay, so let's say if you have developed the project, okay, you have to give your projects, or you want to show that output to the interview, right? So you should deploy it either. Okay, you can use Netlify, Vercel, and GitHub pages. Okay, or you can use Render app also. Okay, these four platforms you have. Okay, generally we use Vercel and Netlify a lot. Okay, so any one platform you can add. Okay, like if any HR or interviewer, anyone ask you like, can you show me your project, right? You can just give the live link to them, and they can literally see at their end. And plus, of course, you can do the project explanation. Okay, once you will give this link, live link to the interview, this will add a lot of value to your interview process. Okay, when you're sitting in an interview, you're giving a live link. One thing is you're giving the live link, second thing is you're sharing a screen and kind of running it from local, right? Live link will add a lot of value there. Okay, and then you can use this live link in your resume. You can link this in your resume. When you will be adding these projects in your resume, you can use this live link there. Okay, if you are creating a portfolio website, you can have a section called projects. Okay, then you can use the slide link there. Okay, that is how you can do it. Okay. So these has to be there. Okay. If you have any question, feel free to put it in the chat box. Okay. Now, next and the most important thing is technical interview preparation. Okay. Whatever I was saying before this, these are just prerequisite. Like whatever I was speaking here, this is like prerequisite. Like before interview, you will need your portfolio, website, projects deployed, your projects deployment and everything, right? But the most important thing is interview preparation. Okay, what will be asked, what type of questions, what category of questions asked during an interview? Okay, we will be discussing that now. So there are majorly three categories of questions asked. Okay, one is theoretical, or I call it as technical explanation. Okay, technical explanation. This is first part. Okay. Second is coding and scenario. Don't worry, I will be discussing about examples. I will be giving you examples as well. What questions comes under these? Okay. Again, I am talking with full stack perspective. Okay. And this technical interview preparation that I'm going to talk about, it's general. For example, if you are someone into Python, someone into Java, someone into let's say Spring Boot, maybe framework you work into backend, so this technical preparation applies to all. Okay. And third is code snippet based questions. Okay. So in any technical interview you are going to sit, these are the only three category of questions you will have. Okay. One is theoretical, or you can call it as technical explanation, coding question or scenario based, and snippet. There is no other thing. I like I have worked with 24 plus clients into uh, edtech space. Okay, specifically into web development. Okay, I have never seen, and of course I've trained thousands of candidates, thousands of students have got placement. There is no, like when I ask them for the feedback, what type of questions are asked. Okay, I take all the inputs from them. I have never seen any other category of question. Either it's theoretical, no one is going to ask you to uh, uh, play a game or something, right? Okay, so these are the three technical questions. Okay, of course there is one round. I just want to bring this point. There is one round called assignment round. Okay, I'm not talking about that round. Okay, assignment round is a different round. I'm only talking about technical interview right now. Okay, I'm not talking about any other round. I'm only talking about when you let's say if you are in the startup companies, ask you for the assignment, like they'll give you 24 hours or 48 hours to do some, let's say, e-commerce assignment. That is one part. Okay, but I'm only talking about technical questions. Okay, so these are the three categories that you have. Okay, now what type of questions comes in theoretical or technical? Okay, for example, what how to make JavaScript asynchronous. Okay, features added in HTML5, how we can implement or manage state in React application. What is the concept of event loop? Okay. Now, some of you might be wondering these, like if you are someone who have literally have given 100% into learning web development, you can easily answer these questions. Okay. But but interviewer will only start by asking how to make JavaScript asynchronous, right? Whatever you will ask, whatever you will answer, always remember this rule. Whatever you will answer, your follow-up questions will be based on that. For example, how to make JavaScript asynchronous, right? To make JavaScript asynchronous, we have three ways. Okay. For example, I have callbacks. Okay. We have promises and we have async await. So these are the three ways we can make JavaScript asynchronous. Okay. Now, let's say you said promises. Now, your follow-up questions will be from these three. Now, it's not like they're just going to ask you how to make JavaScript asynchronous. Let's say while explaining callback promises async await, you said something in callback. Let's say you said, firstly, callback we had. Okay. Then you said in callback, the drawback of callback is callback hell. Okay. Then comes your promises in 2015. Then comes your async await in 2017. Let's say you said something like this. Okay. Then your follow-up questions is going to be from this. Okay. They can ask you now what is callback hell, or callback hell is also called pyramid of doom. Okay. They can ask you what is pyramid of doom. So whenever you're answering, I'm not saying think too much, but whatever you're speaking, okay, firstly, it should be in statement. Okay, let's say interviewer asks you how to make JavaScript asynchronous. Don't say callback promises async await. Okay, rather say JavaScript is by default single-threaded and synchronous programming language. But yes, there is a way to make JavaScript asynchronous. There is something which makes JavaScript different from other programming language is asynchronous nature of Java. The way we can make JavaScript asynchronous. For example, callback. Then callback have a drawback. Okay. Then came promises. Then you can, in fact, you can mention their application with that. For example, callback have a application, set timeout we have. Okay. Set interval we have. Then you can mention a brief about callback help. Then of course came promises. Promises application could be fetch, it could be Axios. Okay. Then you can go and talk about async await. Okay. Async await is used to make any JavaScript function asynchronous and it returns promises, something like this you can talk. Okay. So instead of just saying callback promise async await, like just before this, the way I answered, this is how you should be answering the question. It should be in statement format. Okay. Second is technical words. Okay. Try your best to use as much technical words you can. Okay. So these are the only two rules when you have to explain any technical question. Okay. That your answer should be in statement and technical words has to be there. Okay. So this is how technical questions are asked. Okay. So now features added in HTML, for example, you can mention semantic elements. You can mention about canvas, graphic elements like canvas and SVG. Then you can mention about input type, date, time, a color was introduced. Okay. You can talk about that we strictly use UTF-8 there. Okay. So these are the few features. Then now here you can have a follow-up question in semantic. Okay. Let's say you said semantic versus non-semantic were introduced. Okay. Then they can ask you what is a semantic. Okay. Then they can ask you what is the advantage. Okay. One advantage of using semantic is of course as a developer it's very easy for me to structure my code, header, footer, main, section, article aside, right? Those tags. Second thing is it helps with the SEO part as well. Okay. So this is how your follow-up questions are going to come. Okay. So whatever you're going to speak and answer, you have a follow-up questions. Okay. How we can do state management? Now, one way is use like one person, let's say, said Redux. Okay. That's it. One way is you can simply go and explain that React has its own concept called React context. Okay, but it is limited to a small application. If you want to develop a complex or a scalable application, then you should go for third party state management libraries. Like we have Redux, we have Redux Toolkit. Okay. Then we have recoil state management library. Okay. Which is this recoil is only for React. Okay. So this is how you should be answering. Instead of saying Redux, instead you can say in React, we have this concept of React context. It has main three things: consumer, provider, okay, context. But this is only confined to a small application. If you want to build a complex and scalable application, then we have third-party state management libraries like Redux Toolkit, Recoil. Okay, then they will have a follow-up question on it. Okay, so just see the difference. I when I'm answering something in statement and when I'm answering something in single word or two, three words. Okay, it makes a lot of difference. Okay. And let's say what is the concept of event loop, right? Event loop is like brain of JavaScript. I could literally call this as the brain of JavaScript. Okay. Because event loop is something which is managing all your asynchronous operations. Okay. Now this is a very common question asked. Okay. Now event loop generally I've seen candidates just literally cramping learning from Google what is event loop. Instead, why don't you go and explain it in your words? Okay. So it's not like when I say use technical words, you have to literally learn the definitions. It's not like that. You have to explain it in your words only, but try to use as technical words as you can. Okay. So event loop, you can further have, you should know like call stack. Okay. You should know about macro queue. You should have micro tasking. Okay. So that base has, you should know. Okay. And you can explain it in your words. Okay. So these are some questions I discussed. Now if you ask me what other questions could be there, okay, there are so many questions that you have to prepare. Okay, like CSR versus SSR, they can ask you. They can ask you about React routing. They can ask you how to optimize React application. Let's say if you answer to optimize React application, you can mention about use callback, use memo, lazy loading, right? So your follow-up questions are going to be on that. Okay, this is how it goes. Okay, when let's say I take mock interviews for candidates, I do preparation also, right? So when I am also taking an interview, I have a structure like these are the main topics I want to ask questions from students. But what question, whatever user the candidate is answering, okay, we also have a follow up questions on that. Okay, but generally your interview will have a clarity, whatever position they are hiring for, whatever topics are more important for each topic, they will generally ask those questions. But follow up questions will be there based on what you're answering. Okay, so this is generally comes under your technical explanation. Okay, now next comes your coding based question. Okay, now coding based question, if I talk about in full stack, okay, further it has parts. Okay, first thing, if I talk about JavaScript, okay, even further it has actually many parts. I'll talk about both. Okay, it has front end. Okay, in front end, what type of coding questions they can ask, and even back end they can ask. Okay, coding or scenario based is something where they will give you some situation. Like this is one example. I'll talk about this example. Before that, let me talk about what questions could be there in full stack. It could be in front end, it could be back end also. Coding question of scenario based could be in back end also. Okay, again, in front end, the topic in which they can ask you is DOM manipulation. Okay, that could be one topic. Okay, for example, they'll ask you to, let's say they'll give you some code snippet, like in HTML they'll give you one table. Then they will ask you on click of a button, add a new row to a table having sum of all the price values. Okay, something like this. Some domain manipulation question could be there. Then of course promises. Okay, now talking about promises here, this is one. Okay, this is one example I've added. Like this is one of the question asked, was asked in interview also. Okay, like create a object with a method that returns a promise. Means you have to create a object. Okay, let's say you have to create a object will have a method. Okay, object will have some property. Let's say f name, like first name would be Alina. Okay, then some a method has to be there. Let's say I'll create some details method here. Okay, now this method will return a promise. Now this will return a promise. I'll create a new promise object here. Okay, of course it will have a callback function. Okay, now promise should resolve. Now promise will resolve. Okay, now here now we know promise object takes two callback parameter. One is resolved, one is rejected. Okay, it should resolve. Okay, with object properties means you will return the object properties from this promise after a 2 second delay. Okay, so means 2 second delay means you need set timeout. Okay, and then you have to write, of course, after once you create this, you have to consume the promise. Okay, so these type of questions can be asked in promises. Okay, or async coding related. Then of course the general one, arrays and string could be there. Okay, for example, they can give you a string, let's say hello world. Okay, then they can ask you to reverse each word in a string, let's say like this, something like this, and without using any inbuilt method of JavaScript. Okay, so this type of questions you can have in your arrays and string. Okay, so in front end, generally you have these three main: DOM manipulation, array string, and promises, and something in asynchronous. If they're asking to write a code, it will be something around this. Okay, in JavaScript. In React, of course, you can have something like they can ask you to implement something in forms. Okay, they can ask you to something implement something in inverse data flow. Okay, uh, like they can ask you to create three components, two child, one parent, send data from one child component to parent, something like this. Okay, then you can have something in this very popular question, counter. Okay, I think everyone, if you have done React, you must be knowing counter, very popular. This stopwatch is one very important. Like when you click on a button start, okay, the stopwatch will start. Okay, when you click on stop, it will stop. When you click on pause, it will pause. Okay, and format should be hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, this is a very popular question. Okay, so and counter, of course. So these are the questions that they can ask you in the front end. Okay, on the spot, any coding question. They can give you 20 minutes, 10 minutes to resolve. Okay, now talking about backend, what they can ask you. Okay, backend, I'm talking with the MongoDB, Node and Express perspective, but of course you can relate. If it's Java, then maybe in Spring Boot they can ask you. Okay, if you are someone from Python but you do backend in Python, then they can ask you something in Django. Okay, if you use C sharp, then they can ask you something in .NET. Okay, I am talking about MongoDB right now, Express.js and Node.js. Okay, in backend, what coding question they can ask you to write or scenario is like they can ask you to create a server on the spot. Okay, create a server which is returning your name. That can they can ask you. Okay, after that they can ask you something like some queries they can ask you to write. Okay, they can ask you to write some queries as well. Okay, so these type of questions could be there. Okay, in backend. Okay, in MongoDB query now, further in MongoDB you have a lot of things. You have it depends. Let's say in MongoDB they can ask you something like, just to complicate, they can ask you something in aggregate functions. Okay, and of course SQL could also be there. Let's say you are from SQL background in database. Of course in SQL also they can ask you to create a table, put some constraints in it, and something in aggregate. Like in SQL they can ask you something in related to joins, inner join, left join, right join, full join. That. Okay, so these are the general coding questions you have. This is the second category which is asked. Okay, I can see few questions. Um, okay, I think Kamran. Who's going to be in healthcare, which is huge one. I think Kamran, you can go for it. Okay. I think Kamran, you have texted me earlier also. I think on Instagram, right? So I think you can go ahead with this project. Okay. Uh, if like for now, let's say if you are someone who is not, if you're not working and if you're getting some work, and I think you should go for it. And side by side, you can continue your learning journey. Firstly, you will have your experience. Okay, because preparation alone will take some time. Okay. So why don't you go for that project, and side by side you can prepare and you will have some experience as well. The last category of question is snippet based. Okay, now snippet based is basically going to be these type of questions. Okay, where they will give you some questions. So now here your pure knowledge of async is required. Okay, for example, in this question, okay, we know in Java, like if there's a JavaScript file, your synchronous operation executes first, then comes your uh, asynchronous. Okay, your set time out. For example, generally in these type of question they will add set time out, they will ask promises. Okay, so those type of things would be there. Okay, like in this question if I talk about, okay, your this one part is there, set time out, there is one console here. Okay, there is one console here, there is one console here and one console here and here. Okay, five consoles. So what is the order in which they will be executed? Okay, this could be your coding question, snippet based, and you have to answer. Okay, like this they like, I'll talk about more questions. For example, they can ask you something like this. Okay, 1916. Okay, this is the array created with const. So can I do something like this? Okay, like they can ask you something like this, will it give me output or it will give me error? This type of question can also be asked. Okay, here purely your knowledge of const is required. Then they can ask you something like this function, let's say sample. Okay, and they can ask you console.log. Let's say I have this in my this keyword inside the function. Okay, one function is created with sample, and one function is created with arrow function. And if I have console.log, uh, this in, okay, what this keyword will refer to if it's inside my JavaScript file. So here your pure knowledge of difference in arrow function and normal function is required. So if I boil it down, whatever coding question you're doing, whatever snippet based you're doing, or even this, everywhere your basic knowledge is required. Okay, if you're learning journey, in your learning journey, if you have gone through firstly the correct platform, like from wherever you're learning. Okay, if you have learned well, okay, that is one thing. Second is your of course self study. Okay, how much efforts you're putting in learning the concept. Okay, so whenever you see any coding question like this, just try to understand firstly what concepts are going to be used. For example, here I know timing events are going to be used, promise concept is going to be used, and synchronous code is going to be there. So of course everything, my resolution of this solution will be around that. Okay, So these are the main three category of questions are going to be asked. I hope this part is clear. If any question is there, feel free to put it in the chat box. Okay. And lastly, these two things, of course, DSA. Okay. Now in DSA, this is extremely important. Okay, when it's come to DSA part. Okay. Now there are two things. Okay. When you are talking about DSA preparation, general, if I talk about, then of course you should know array, string, linked list, tag queue. Minimum these thing has to be there. You should know all these. Okay. But if I talk about web development perspective, okay, I always say this to candidates that focus on the logic part, not your which data structure you're picking. You're picking linked list, you're picking stack, you're picking queue. As a in web development interview, that is not much important. Your logic is more important. Okay, for example, you got one question. Let's say you have to resolve it with array. Okay, there is an array question, there is string. Okay, firstly these two questions, these two data structures has to be strong. Okay, if you are into web development. Okay, now how you should be practicing. Okay, in DSA. Okay, in web development, again, okay, in array and string, okay, and array, there are a lot of questions which can be built with using map and set. Okay, and this will help you. Like for example, when you're doing DSA, right, the logic you're writing, that is important. Plus complexity is also important. It's not like interviewer asks you to write some logic and you have written, you got the output, but then they can ask you about time complexity and space complexity. Now that is also important. Okay, that is extremely important. So whatever you're practicing, you don't have to just learn how to write a logic. You have to learn how to write the best logic. Okay, because complexity has to be taken care there. Okay, it's not like interviewer, wrote a logic. Let's say you wrote some nested loop. Okay, so complexity would be n square in worst case. So they can ask you, okay, how can you reduce it. So there are two things here. Okay, one thing, that you have to learn how to write the logic building, something you need to work on. Second thing is how you can get the solution in the best way possible. Okay, so both the things are important here. Okay. Now how can you practice. Okay, first of all, you should there are some, I would say, 20-25 questions general. Okay, that I feel those, like those 20-25 questions, what are those, I'll discuss about that tomorrow. Okay, those are basic, like two pointer technique. Okay, those you should know. Okay, and so resolving solution with map and set. Okay, that you should know, that you should be knowing. So those 20-25 questions are actually those questions. Okay, once you do these, okay, those 20-25 questions that I have, after that you start practicing them, your DSA on Lead Code and HackerRank. So what you do is you go to Lead Code website, okay, and you just select their arrays, okay, and there you just select easy. Okay, so there are three level: easy, medium, and hard. Okay, to start with, just complete easy and medium question of array, and complete easy and medium question of strings. Okay. Now here also, team, it depends what company you're aiming. Let's say if you're aiming for company like Google, your company like Amazon, then of course this has to be strong. Then you should know graph also. Then you should know trees also. Okay. What I'm talking about right now, when it's come to array string, why I'm stressing on that part, because when you're sitting in a startup, okay, when you're sitting in a medium level company, average package of 7 to 8 LPA, these two are enough, arrays and string. Okay, but of course, if you're expecting as a fresher 12 lakh, 13 lakh, right, then you should know linked list, tag. And when you're talking about top 5% companies, okay, then of course graph trees is also important. Okay, but if you're applying for a mid and startup level, then this like 7 to 8 lakh per annum. Then in web development, array string is good to have, like good knowledge of this. And of course, in lead code, if you just go, you can just filter easy question, medium, easy question, and medium. At least these you should complete. Okay. And before this, you should go through this 20-25 questions that I'll share tomorrow. I'll talk about this tomorrow, where two pointer technique, questions resolving using maps, it has to be there. Okay. So I hope I've answered your question. Okay. Okay. And how much DSA needed to track? Okay, I think I had two questions related to DSA. I hope I've answered those now. Okay. All right. Now this is what I planned for the day. Okay, now before I wrap it, okay, I'll give you guys some tasks. Okay, it's not like uh, I have delivered a session and you have listened. Okay, ideally you should go back. Okay, and you should be doing these tasks. Okay, first of all, you should, if you don't have any portfolio website, okay, then you should have one website development, okay, started today itself. So you should start developing this portfolio website today itself. Okay, if you, let's say someone you already know web development and everything, start developing this today. So this is first task. Okay, second, once it is done, okay, let me talk about that, a bit of agile process. Okay, in real time we follow something called agile process. Okay, so this is the same approach you can follow in developing. Of course, it's an individual project. You really don't need this agile, but at least a proper planner is needed. Like for example, you can decide like, in 2 days what feature I'm going to develop. Okay, you can have a wireframe for your application. So generally in real time we use a Figma, we use Adobe to create the designs. Okay, but for now, just to save your time, you can just take pen paper and create a wireframe. Like what would be there, what tech stack, what features would be there in your application. Okay, all right. Now after this, okay, you should divide it into number of days. Okay, 2 days you will do what features, number of hours you're going to spend. Okay, that will also help you, like what is, to self assess yourself, like how many hours you want for a particular feature, how much time you need for development, where you got stuck, which concept you got stuck, you can go back and study. Okay, so you can divide 2 days like per feature. Okay, and you can build your website and of course deploy it on some Netlify Vercel. Okay, and read about technical. Now to read about technical question, like I mentioned, 3 categories there, right? First category that you have is, okay, first category that you have is technical explanation. Now for this, you, what you need to do is you need a proper list of questions. Okay, now online, if you go and google now, you have, you, a lot of websites would come. For example, let me talk about that. Okay, if I go back here, let's say react interview questions. Okay, you will have questions segregated in so many places, and every link will have almost 100 questions, and it is very confusing for you which one you should pick. Okay, which question you should read. So I'll tell you a solution for that. Second type of question, that is of course your coding related. I said like there are few general questions which is asked in interviews. I already have a list of them. Okay, and third category is obviously your snippet based. You should, like snippet based question, you can take help of Chat GPT. Okay, if you write the snippet based questions, you will get some there. Okay, now if you want these technical questions in one place, okay, if you want these in one place, okay, so what I've done, I have created this preparation material. Okay. So this preparation material, okay. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so what this material contains, it contains Mern stack plus DSA preparation. Okay, it contains all the important interview questions, all the important, you can see it here. Okay, all these would be there. Capstone project, UI design, complete PDF, your designs would be there. Okay, and not just that, you can literally connect with me on weekend, on Saturdays you can connect with me. Okay, where I will be live helping you with your doubts from that material. Okay, because when you need, like there is no one place where you can get all this. Okay, that was the motivation I prepared this material. And I have my candidates, you can read the feedback, you can read about the testimonials here. Okay, my students who have worked or used this material, you can see they were able to upscale. If you're working or if you're someone who's a fresher, this material is for both. Okay, it contains chapters, it's like a book I've written. Okay, it has chapters, then chapters will have topics, and then topics further will have assignment interview questions. So every topic, what interview question could be there, everything is there in this material. Okay, and it's not like you will buy this material and keep it with you. Of course not like that. You will have an option to connect with me every weekend. Okay, and of course this is very simple. You just do add to cart, you go to view cart. Okay, and you can just do proceed to checkout. Okay, and right now there is one offer. Okay, this is live till Monday. Okay, since it's Lodi, which is Makar Sankranti is coming, okay, and I want you all to kind of fly and kickstart your career. So this 15% coupon you can apply, okay. The coupon code is Kitefly, okay, Kitefly. I'll just add this in the description section, okay. So all the details, everything is already there in the description section. You can check this out, okay. This is my YouTube channel. If you go to live, okay, I've already added everything in the description. You can okay, right now it's going, the live session is going on. So all the details here you can see, all the description, everything is there. Okay. Tomorrow also there is also live session. Okay. Tomorrow in tomorrow's live session, I'll be talking very important topic, which is your resume building. Okay. I will be talking about those 2025 DSA questions. So those 2025 DSA question also you'll get here. Okay. Once you buy this material, those 2025 questions that I was talking about to get started. Those 2025 questions will give you a base to solve another 50 questions. Okay, like every question, like let's say there's one question and five more questions which can be created through it is there in this material. Okay, and of course it's not like you're buying. I will be there with you through your complete journey. Okay, and of course if you I have few more courses, like if you want to buy a already built website, then there's a website templates you get for these websites. Okay, and these are proper designs. You just need to buy, you will get access to all these websites which is already developed. Okay, and of course there is one this mock interview, someone you want help with LinkedIn optimization, job search, live project you want to build, you want to understand the agile process, resume review, everything. Okay, this is a one-on-one session. You This is not a group session. If you buy this course, this will be a one-on-one group session on weekends. Okay, and website template is self-paced. Okay, like you just buy and you get all the templates. Okay, all the websites built with this. Okay. I've already added in like detail what is it about. Okay, so you can just check this out. Okay. All right. I think we can wrap call it for the day. Okay. If you guys have any question after the live, I see a lot of students watch the video after the live. Okay. If you guys have any question, feel free to put it into chat box. Okay. You can message me on Instagram also. Okay. You can follow me on Instagram. I've added all the links in the description of this live. Okay. Just put any question you have in terms of preparation. I will be happy to help you. Okay. All right. I think we can wrap. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Okay. I hope I've answered all the questions. If anything is there, please feel free to put it in chat box. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.